What's up, everyone out there in YouTube world, Facebook world, social media world, the world, wherever you're watching this episode today? Welcome to another episode of Musings with MGL. I'm your host, as always, MGL. Thank you for watching. If you like my content, we'll get this out of the way in the beginning. Please like, share, subscribe down below. Click the bell notification so you know when I put up new videos. I'm approaching 1,000 subscribers. As I said before, it'd be pretty neat to hit that by the end of the year. It's now September 20th today, so coming up on it. So a couple more months, I'd like to get about 30 more subscribers just because it'd be a neat little thing to do. So today I'm going to do a little bit of off-the-wall video here today. It's not going to be any legal talk. I'm going to get into a little personal thing that I like to talk about, and that is my favorite gun. So everybody out there who owns guns has a favorite gun. They have a gun that either it's the first one they ever got, or it's the exact type of gun that they saw on a movie or a TV show, or it was handed down to them from a family member or whatever. Remember, somebody came to you and said, you have to get rid of all your guns except one. Which gun would you keep? For me, that gun is a Taurus PT92. That's this gun right here. So for safety purposes and all the YouTube crazy people, look, nothing in the chamber, completely empty. Gun has no bullets. See, completely safe. So, bang. So, gun is completely safe. But this is my favorite firearm. It's a PT Taurus 92. Now, this is the older version. Okay, there's a couple different types of PT92s out there, just like most other firearms. This is one of the older ones from, I want to say, late 80s, early 90s kind of firearm. It's got the nice wood grip on it. It's just got a different design. It doesn't have the rail underneath. The current ones that you get are actually bigger. They have a rail underneath, and they're shinier. They're not all metal, though. A lot of it is plastic, so it's a lot lighter. This thing is kind of like a brick. It's really heavy. It's all metal. Obviously, it's basically a copy of the Beretta. So everybody in the 80s, of course, remembers the Beretta was the gun to have. Everybody had a Beretta in the 80s. John McClane had it in Die Hard. Mel Gibson had it in Lethal Weapon. Everybody on TV had one of them. The cops always carried them in the movies and the TV shows. So the Beretta was a very popular firearm in the 80s, and then the Taurus kind of came along and basically pretty much copied the design. Obviously, it's bright and stainless steel. Most of the Berettas from the movies were black, but it's essentially a Beretta clone. Everybody knows this, and the reason I like it is because it is kind of old school firearm in my opinion. A lot of the firearms these days, you know, they're built with the plastics and the polymers or whatever, which I love those. I'm a Glock guy. I have numerous Glocks. That's what my everyday carry is. So I don't have a problem with those firearms, but there's something about the older ones that were heavy and chunky and metal. That's like why a lot of people like the older revolvers too, compared to like the really lightweight current plastic ones that they have. They just don't feel like firearms in your hand. This thing feels like a firearm in your hand. It's got a bigger grip. It's solid steel. It's shiny, which of course a lot of the guns in the 80s and 90s were shiny too. Everybody had nickel-plated firearms and guns because they thought it was cool. And so I like this gun because it's practical. It is heavy. It kind of feels like a gun. It comes with a lot of firearm or a lot of bullets. It's a 15-round mag, just like a Beretta, with one in the pipe. So you can get a lot of firearm power with this because you can carry a lot of ammunition. The reason I like it is it's going to be kind of weird. So I'm was born in the 70s, lived through the 80s, and lived through the 90s. So of course I loved all those 80s action movies and stuff like that, and they all had Berettas. And then I also liked all the TV shows and the cop shows. And one of my favorite shows when I was in high school was a show called 21 Jump Street. A lot of people watching this probably know what 21 Jump Street is. It starred Johnny Depp and a bunch of other people. It's about a bunch of cops that looked young, so they went undercover in high schools and busted all kinds of various people. And so there was a character on that show, and his name was Booker. His name was Dennis Booker. He was played by Richard Grieco, and he was kind of like the bad boy. He smoked, and he went outside the lines, and he did all the crazy stuff, and was a big contrast to the squeaky clean little Johnny Depp character. And so they gave him his own spinoff, and they called the spinoff Booker, and it was on TV only for one season, and it got canceled. So did 21 Jump Street. But instead of going down that rabbit hole, anyway, I thought the character was cool. He was kind of a badass character, and he got his own spin-off show. And in that spin-off show, this is the firearm that he carried. It was featured heavily in that show. It was shown in like every episode. He would carry it, he would shoot it, he would show it to people. And then because of that show and other shows like it that carried similar firearms, this firearm started to be put in a bunch of guns and ammo magazines in the late 80s and early 90s. And so if you were into firearms back then, you couldn't pick up a firearm magazine without seeing this firearm. So I got introduced to it because it was in this cool little niche show with a character that I thought was really cool. Same reason a lot of people might carry, again, the regular Berettas because of John McClane, and then some other revolvers, the 44 Magnum because Clint Eastwood carried it, et cetera, et cetera. So I thought this was a cool gun because it was on a TV show that I thought was cool with a character that was cool, and it was featured heavily on the show all the time. And then it started to be put in all those magazines. So as a young teenage guy who was just starting to kind of get into firearms back then, I would get a magazine every now and then, and this gun was always in there. So I kind of started to fall in love with this gun when I was a teenager, and of course, being a teenager, I couldn't own firearms, didn't own firearms back then, so I could never have it, but I always thought it was a cool gun. And then recently, when I first got my concealed carry permit, I went to a local place here near me. It was a place that was actually owned by my cousin. Shout out to Cuz Skinny. And he gave us our CCW class. And the firearm, son of a bitch, the firearm that he used as a demonstration in the CCW class was one of these. This is the one that not this one, but one just like it that he passed around to everybody in the class and was like, this is how, firearms work and slides work, et cetera, for purposes of getting your carry permit. And so I was like, God damn, I'm getting back into guns. And the first gun I basically hold and look at is the one that I had fell in love with 20 years earlier when I was in high school. And so, of course, I tried to buy it from him. He wouldn't sell it to me because it was one of his favorite guns because it was given to him by his mom. So then I started getting into gun collecting and purchasing, and I kept looking to try and find one, couldn't find one, and then lo and behold, one day I actually came across one at a local gun show, and it's this one, and it was beat to shit. It was like dirty and scratchy. The wood grips were in really bad shape, etc., but it was the exact model that I've been looking for, and it was, of course, real cheap because nobody wants to buy old Taurus PT92s. They're not really collectible firearms, and again, it didn't look real good anyway. So I got it, brought it home, and after a little bit of TNC, just used a bunch of flits cleaning stuff on the metal, got it all nice and shiny, found a couple of mags that I could order from places online, cleaned up the wood grips. You just unscrew them, take them off, shine them all up and everything else. And now she looks, in my opinion, she looks real purty. Look at the shine on that bad boy. So this has become kind of my favorite gun. So I don't carry it, obviously, because it's not conducive to carrying. I mean, you could carry it. It's kind of heavy, but like anything else, if you get the right holster or whatever, you could carry it. The problem is down here in Florida, it's really hard to carry big firearms like this because you're always wearing shorts and a t-shirt. If you lived up north somewhere or always wearing, bulky sweaters and jackets, this would probably be a good gun that you could carry or whatever. It still may not be practical because of its weight, but it would certainly be easier to conceal. But for me, I can't really carry it around here, so it's it's in a safe. It's a firearm that I keep, and I like to shoot this more than any other firearm. I prefer to shoot this than my Glocks. It's got a double action trigger, so it's real tight and short on the single action. Double action is obviously a long, heavy trigger pull, but the single action is great. It's accurate as hell because, again, it's heavy. It doesn't really have a lot of recoil because it's got a lot of steel in it. It fits good in my big, manly man hands that I have. These lawyer hands that have just seen so much work. It fits good in there. It shoots good. It looks good, and it has a nostalgic place for me from when I was a young teenager. So that's why the Taurus PT92 is my favorite gun. If somebody came to me and said you need to get rid of every single gun that you have, I would keep this gun and I would find a way to carry it. And again, you can carry it, and I would just sweat my ass off by wearing something bulkier, but if you find the right holster, you could carry it. But if somebody came to me and said you can only have one gun, I would get rid of all my Glocks and SIGs and everything else that I got. And as stupid as it sounds, this is the gun I would keep because I think it is a practical gun, and I also think, it holds a special place in my heart. It brings me back to being a child or a teenager, at least anyway, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, that's my video on what my gun is. It's a quick little review. Again, it's a good gun. It is reliable. This one doesn't jam or anything like that because it's the older version. Some of the newer ones aren't that great, but the older versions are really good. It holds a lot of ammunition because it has the larger size magazines, and it's just a really good all-around gun to use. And it also, again, it has a little bit of nostalgia effect because a lot of people of you may recognize this gun, not necessarily from that show, but you may know it from when you were a kid as well. So that's my video today. A little off topic, but if you like this firearm, comment down below. If you think I'm stupid, comment down below. If you think I should throw that gun away and keep any other firearm, then please comment down below. I'll be happy to have a discussion with you. But that's my video for today. I'm going to end it here. Thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe, etc., etc. And stay safe, stay healthy, stay vigilant, and as always, carry on. Even if it's a weird, off-the-wall gun that holds a special place in your heart.